Let's continue from the last issue. After we have finished drawing the cabinet, we will talk about how to add door panels and drawers. At this time, we select the corresponding shelf, right? If I add 2 drawers here, I select this shelf. The shelf needs to be retracted inwards. That is, it needs to avoid a hinge, right? Then after we select this shelf, we can extend it to the right-hand side, right? If it retracts 80 inwards, it will be reduced by 80. If it retracts 100 inwards, it will be reduced by 100. Okay, then at this time, I may also need to add the door closing strip and then add a door closing strip to the cabinet. Find the corresponding module in the body and confirm it. Then I can select the space. After selecting the space, add the drawer in the component. There are several major categories in the drawer addition, and there are drawer settings, other settings, rail settings, handles, locks, and our drawer shape. Then from the drawer setting, is it built, in or covered, right? Then we can select this space. We can judge from this space. Select the space. Later, you see, because these 2 boards are separated, so what is selected now is the space inside. Then I have to cover the outside with 0 and then add vertically or horizontally, right? Then I add vertically. How many do I need to add? I want 2 drawers. In the case of 1 drawer, there is a drawer height. The drawer height is the height of the drawer surface. Is it adaptive or fixed? In the case of 2 drawers, it is evenly divided by default. Then there is the drawer surface thickness under the drawer surface thickness. How thick is the drawer surface board, right? Because some people do that kind of thinning, the drawer surface thickness may be thicker, right? Or thinner, huh? Then whether to produce the drawer surface and use the front drawer depth, because some of those, right, these thinning may not be self-production, may need to be ordered externally, so there is no need to produce the drawer at this time, right? Then as for the front drawer, there is a board inside the drawer, which is called the front drawer. Do you want this board? If you want it, you can check it, and if you don't want it, you can delete it. Then there is a drawer box setting. The drawer box sets the amount of gathering down and gathering up, or the fixed height. That is to say, after we select this space, right, let's add a drawer. What does the gathering down 20 mean? It means that the bottom of the drawer box is 100% away from the bottom of the drawer. The distance is 20. The distance between the bottom of the drawer box and the bottom of the drawer surface is 20. If the drawer cover is 18, then 20 is definitely not enough. 20 is definitely not enough. Then the height is set to gather up, right? The same principle applies to gathering up. That is, the distance between the top of the drawer box and the top of the drawer surface is 20. What does this equal to when we set the height of the drawer box? The whole space divided by 2 is equal to the height of a drawer surface. The height of a drawer surface minus 20 for gathering down minus 20 for gathering up is equal to the height of the drawer box. Or in other words, the same as the fixed height. The fixed height is like, let's say I want 120, then you add the drawer height, which is 120, and then there is a bottom plate setting at the back, whether it is a thick bottom plate or a thin bottom plate, and then how thick is our bottom plate. Right? Is it an external cover bottom plate, a slot bottom plate, or a drag bottom plate? There are 3 types of bottom plates, and then the extension amount is equivalent to the amount of slot insertion of our bottom plate, which means how deep the slot is when it is inserted. And then if it is inserted under the slot, it means that our bottom plate is slotted, right? The distance below is called the distance below the slot. Our drawers are relatively large. In this case, you can hook it up and use the tie strips to reinforce it. Is it horizontal tie strips or vertical tie strips? How much width do you need? And the bottom board thickness, right? The board thickness is the thickness of the shell. How thick is the board thickness? We have a board thickness in front of us. This board thickness only controls the board thickness of the drawer surface. Our board thickness is a board thickness that controls the drawer. Then the single-sided door seam. What does the single-sided door seam mean? The single-sided door seam is the outer circle. The outer circle is on the top, on the left and on the left. The bottom and the right side of it are called single-sided door gaps. What does the distance between door panels mean? The distance between door panels is the gap between the two drawers. We can measure it by right-clicking. Select the first board and the second board, right? The minimum distance is 1. Then measure the first board and the second board, right? The minimum distance is 2. That is to say, the outer circle is the single-sided door gap. The distance between drawers is the gap between the two drawers. The gap between the two drawers is the distance between drawers. The depth of the drawers is right. The height of the shell is known. The height of the drawer is known. The only thing left is the depth of the drawer. The drawer depth is 100 thick or 100 thick. Is it still a certain depth? Now we choose 100 thick, right? At this time we can hide the right click measurement. Right, the first board and the second board. We can see in the lower left corner that the distance is 100, right? No matter how deep your cabinet is, after adding the drawer, it will default to a distance of 100 from the back. The depth can also be set, right? I want a depth of 100, 200, 300, 400, right? Some cabinets are 600, right? If the drawer is 600, it's a bit big, so why not make it 400, right? Or 450, both are fine. Haha. Then you can choose to set the depth, right? 450 or 400. And then there are middle side panels underneath. What does it mean to set the middle side panel? It means that this middle side panel setting can only be used in certain situations. It can only be used when drawers are added horizontally. How many drawers are needed? Then it can be selected. How much is the back of the panel? Is the depth adaptive or something like that? If the depth is adaptive, it will go straight to the bottom. It means that when it is added, the side panel goes straight to the bottom. In the same way, I can customize it. I can make it 100 or 200 deep, right? It also includes the hole position scheme of the middle side panel. Which one should I use? It's a hole position solution, right? I can define it whether I use 3 in 1 or 2 in 1. And what are the other settings? It means the quotation is based on the area. Or should we quote by length or by number, including the edge banding and the hole position of the drawer? The drawer box below does not use textures. That is to say, our drawer box has a small board. If the board is small, what will be involved at this time? Maybe we will not let him shoot according to the texture. Don't shoot according to the texture because it may save materials if there is no texture. Besides, your board is small, right? You can't see anything. So this is where the texture is set. Then there are slide rails at the back. The name can be customized. It can be customized to be a 3-section slide or some other slide, right? You can also add multiple configurations. Then what is the slide project? What is the name of the slide? Is it right? Just tell me. Now our default is intelligent length adjustment. What does intelligent length adjustment mean? It means that no matter how deep the drawer you make is, it will match you with a suitable slide. For example, how many drawers do I have now? The depth of this drawer is 237, right? We can look at what kind of slide rail he matched us with. It matched a 200 mm slide rail. Did you see it? It moves with the drawer. This is called intelligent length adjustment. Then there is the height of the rail at the bottom. The height and thickness of the rail must be written correctly, because we need to reserve space for it, including the positioning hole at the bottom. Do you want to drill the positioning hole? If you want to drill the positioning hole, check it. If you don't drill it, you can cancel it. Some customers drill the positioning hole on site. If you drill the positioning hole on site, you can do it selectively. If you want to drill it, check it. If you don't drill it, you can turn it off. What is the hole diameter? What is the hole depth? Is that right? How far is the front hole from the front? How far is the back? How much is the hole distance? And what else is there? The outer hole is different from the inner hole. The outer hole is different from the inner hole. After the hook is on, these two holes are the outer holes, and the one that is fixed to the drawer is called the inner hole. Why is there such a setting? It is because there are some slide rails. These two holes do not match up. These. two holes do not match up with the two holes on the outside. So there is an outer hole that is different from the inner hole, and one of them is in a high position, which is equivalent to a corner. This is the position of the slide rail added at the bottom or in the center. Add or add it below, and then there is the quotation information below, the cost price or the cost price, the selling price, right? We can define it, and then we can also add an accessory below. That is what accessories are in our cabinet. And if we don't add it, we can add accessories. After adding the accessories here, we will all be counted in the table, and the handles are the same. You can add more configurations. Just enter the name. Then the handle is called, right? What kind of handle is used? We can define it, and then we will count it. The hole is the handle, and the groove is the handle. Then the position is at the bottom. It is centered, right? How is the cost calculated? How much is the selling price? Then there is also a positioning hole at the bottom, right? What is the hole diameter? How deep is the hole? And is it a horizontal hole or a vertical hole? For drawers, it is a horizontal hole, right? Then the hole spacing at the bottom is the hole between the two holes. Is the distance to control the length of the handle, right? There are many options. Just don't punch this hole. Don't punch this handle hole. If you don't punch the handle hole, you can turn it off. Turn it off and use the handle later. With your hands hooked, we can also count the hardware, including the lock. Then the location information is at the top left corner, top right corner, or top center, right? If it's the top left corner, how much to go and how much to go up, and then the triple lock at the back, right? Because we've chosen the triple lock now, then there's only the first drawer cleaning hole, how deep is the groove, and how wide is the connecting rod, right? Let the height of the connecting rod adapt to it, and then the front side distance, and then the buckle, right? The hole distance and then the buckle distance, because I added the horizontal. The horizontal one is not very visible because I added the horizontal one. Actually, it has a groove, right? It has a groove. How far is the front side of the front groove? You can also set its quotation information. The drawer shape is not used now. It is blister. Basically, it is blister. It is used. Then this is to add this drawer, right? I will change it to tree fragrance. Okay, if we add a door, how do we add it? Right, I can't select this large space now. If I want to select this large space now, I can't select it. How can I add several doors at once, right? At this time, you can select the box and hide it after selecting it. For those that are not selected, you can press the persuasion key to select multiple doors. Then you can select the large space again. Right? After selecting the large space, you can also add it through the components. There are also libraries and drawers in the component edition. In fact, the logic of the drawer is the same. Then I won't talk about it anymore. Then there is the swing door edition below, right? Is it an inner door or an outer door? How much is the cover? How thick is the board? How much is the single-sided door gap? The single-sided door gap is actually the same as the logic we just talked about. The logic of the drawer is the same, that is, the circle around it is the door. The gap left on the edge of the door is that our system will automatically reduce this gap. We only need to set a value. And then the distance between the door panels is how much? The distance between the door panels is the distance between the two door panels. What is the gap between the door panels? What is the automatic start-stop function for? The automatic start-stop function is for the intersection of the door panels. That is, the door panel that is opened has a bend.
Generally.
It only appears on long door panels. It is not worth opening a long door panel. Then we can just check the automatic stop function. Then there is a quotation information below, right? Is it based on the area, the number, or the length? How much is the cost price? How much is the sales price, and how many door panels are needed? Is it right? And is it opened on the left or the right? It opens sideways, right? Now there are 3 doors, right? If there are 3 doors, does the cardinal door open on the left or right? If it is a single door, does it open on the left, right, top, or bottom? Right? In the case of 2 doors, the default is to open side by side. In the case of 3 doors, it is a cardinal door. If there are 4 doors, do they all open side by side or open single on the left or right? Then when we add door panels, we can actually make a choice. What is the choice? Because our software can automatically generate a test version. For example, let's say I'm in this space and I drag with the left mouse button. Drag with the left mouse button and select this space. In this space, I want to add a few doors. I want to add 4 doors or 3 doors, right? 3 doors. Add 3 doors. The 3 doors are added below. When adding 3 doors, normally we need to calculate the position of the side panel. 3 doors must be generated as a side panel, right? We need to calculate its position. But we don't need to calculate it at this time because our software, I will bring it out by myself, that is, the middle side board. We will bring it out by ourselves. Can you see this from the middle side board? And it is the same. Can the depth be adjusted by yourself? Right? The depth is hard or something like that? Or I just fix it with a strip, close it, and then enter the size. Then the positioning hole at the bottom is useless. Then edge sealing, edge sealing, edge sealing F. What does this F stand for? We will talk about it at the end. The default is F. If the edge sealing of our door panel and cabinet is different, we can delete F and change it to a corresponding value. Then the hinge at the back, right? We can also add more configurations for the hinge, and then we need to use a hinge of a certain brand, and then, according to his brand, set the corresponding parameter for the card. The distance from the bottom to the top is the hinge. The top hinge is 100 meters above, and the bottom hinge is 100 meters below. 0 to 1.6 meters requires 2 hinges. That is to say, 0 to 1.6 meters is 2 hinges. 1.6 meters to 2 meters is 3 hinges. 2 meters to 2 meters is 4 hinges. It is equivalent to the condition, right? Let's set the condition first. This is a place to set the condition. Then the side panel positioning hole information. What does this mean? These 4 holes, these 4 small holes. Do you see these 4 small holes? They are the positioning holes of the side panel. Do you want to add the foot cup hole? The foot cup hole. The foot cup hole, and the 2 holes for the positioning holes of the door panel at the bottom. Then, let's talk about the parameters. The distance between the front positioning hole and the door panel. What is this value for? The distance between the front hole and the door panel is 23. The distance between the horizontal positioning hole is 14 in the back. The distance between the 2 holes is 14. The vertical hole is 32, which means the distance between the upper and lower holes is 32. The foot cup is the same. The foot cup diameter is 35, right? The depth is 13, which means the hole depth is 13. The 5th hole is 13, which means the distance between the 2 holes is 13. The distance from the foot cup to the edge of the door panel is 5 mm. Now the door panel positioning hole is set to diameter 5 and depth 2. The positioning hole distance is 52. The distance between the 2 holes from the top to the bottom is 52. The distance from the positioning hole to the foot cup, that is to the center of the foot cup, is 9. 5 is 9. Then the straightener, right? That means we can add the straightener to the door panel now. Yes, we can. We can add more configurations. What are the different brands? We can add them. Then we just need to check the width and depth of the straightener. The distance from the center to the right is equivalent to the distance from the edge. Then there is a handle at the back, right? We can customize the name of the handle. It is actually the same as our drawers. Punching holes and digging grooves, right? This position is the default. If it is the center, then it is OK. Then the vertical position is in the center. Then the quotation information is right. If the positioning hole is opened or not, check it. If it is not big, turn it off. The bottom hole spacing is the spacing between the two holes. It controls the length of the handle. Then the handle free setting. If the handle free setting is set, first check the use of the handle free, right? There are arcs. We use the beveled edges like the horn handle more. The horn handle is used more. This is called the horn handle. Corner handles, right? Actually, we just need to set its size. How much is the outer height, right? It also marks from here to here, which is the outer height. How much is the outer height? The inner height, right? It is from here to the bottom, which is the inner height. Depth, that is to say, how deep is the groove of our handle. The width is the groove width. There are many shapes. We can just find a corresponding shape and confirm it directly. This is our door panel addition. This is our door panel addition. Similarly, we have sliding door additions in this component. The sliding door addition is the same principle. But what about sliding doors? It may involve indentation, which means that our structure needs to be indented. Now, can we select multiple items at this time? Right? We can also select them by boxing. Just select all the boards that need to be indented. If you need to retract these boards, select them. He needs to retract. He needs to retract. He needs to retract. He needs to retract, right? He also needs to retract. He and he and he and he. Select all the boards that need to be retracted. After selecting them, we have a board extension. What else is there? There is also a distance extension. There is also a distance extension. We haven't called those functions, right? We also talked about it in the first issue. We can call it from here. There is also a distance extension. This distance extension, right? Which side should I move? I want to move the front to retract from the front. That kind of front. How much should it be extended? Let's shrink it by 80, then reduce it by 80. Do you see it? Our overall structure has been shrunk by 80, right? If I add the sliding door at this time, right? Then I can directly select them to hide them. Hide them. After hiding them, I can directly select the space and add the sliding door to the component. Then how many door panels should be added, right? And how much overlap should be behind the panel, and how much distance should be set for the door panel. And the upper and lower indents are just sliding to the reserved space, position, and if the door panel is long, you can also use automatic start and stop. And then his edge banding, his pricing method, including his door panel quotation, is confirmed, right? This is our A sliding door. This is one of our sliding doors. However, sliding doors
are rarely made now because sliding doors usually have a
waistline in the middle, which may involve carving. Then there is our arc skirting board at the bottom. Adding an arc skirting board means adding an arc skirting board to our arc cabinet. What can I do? Select the space.
component and
Add an arc skirting board. Add the left arc and the right arc. How much is the arc? How much is the arc radius? The arc radius is generally based on the arc radius of the cabinet. You can double-click the cabinet module and then you can see a parameter on the right. Then select the space. How deep is the groove? In general, the groove depth is the depth of the back of the board.
reserve 2.
Millimeters behind the board. Reserve 2 millimeters behind the board. It should be 2 millimeters or more. How much is the width of the groove? How much is the width of the corrugation? And how much is
the
edge banding? As for the depth of the groove, this is actually not fixed. It is not fixed because the static degree of each machine is different. This is 2 millimeters or more. It is about the same. Then this is our arc board. Add the arc skirting board, and then there is our arc board underneath. If the arc board is added, we actually make some arc cabinets. It can be used. Then add the arc plate to the component, right? Then we can make a selection. Then this needs to be imported from CD. I can just select one and open it and confirm it. Then we can import it directly. This is our arc plate. Then after importing it, we can also use our move function to point it to the right position, right? It's all possible. We can take a look at this. CD requirements. One of the requirements of our CD is, to put it simply, a single line means we can draw a single line of an arc. Then let's continue. There is also a 9-grid edition. Generally, the first 3 are used more, the last 2 are because they are full of 9 grids. Maybe half of the grid appears, which is not very good. Width and depth can be customized by us. Anyway, the default value is what we take. It takes the value of this space. The clear space value can also be defined by yourself. Then how much is the plate thickness, how much is the edge banding, and how many grids are there? If the number of grids is calculated based on the reference point, is it calculated based on the reference as width or height? If the reference is 2 grids high, it means 1 or 2 grids high. If the reference is wide, it means 2 grids from left to right. Or what does the width measurement mean? Because the cargo openings here intersect with each other. They intersect relatively, right? So there is a width measurement here, so the cargo opening should be slightly wider and deeper. If you open it just right, the little toy may not be able to get in. Then we must analyze it. After the analysis, let's look at this first. Net value. Generally, the net value is about 90 to 100. Now it is 19.5. 19.5 is definitely a bit big. Then we can change the number of grids to 3, and then analyze it again, right? 124. 124 is one card. Change it to 4. We can try to analyze it again, right? Now, it is 8888. Actually, it is not very suitable. Then we can take another look at this high one. Right? If this is high, the net value is 11.4, 328.5, then it is suggested that we have almost cleared the space. We will have to look at the suggestions in the future. It is suggested that the right sideboard be moved to the left 41. When we add the 9 grids, we must analyze them. If we don't analyze them, we can't add them. Then I suggest you move the left sideboard, right? Move it to the left, 41, 1 after adding it, right? You can see that this piece is not full. If it is not full, it means that it is 41 short. Now if we move this board over, 41 is also okay, right? Anyway, normally speaking, our general factories all have fixed values for these 9 grids. If this space is fixed, it will not happen, right? If it is not full, this kind of situation will not happen. Then this is the situation of our combination. That is, we set up all the dynamic functions in the addition. All the things, all the functions of the things. Then if I add a drawer or door panel, I need to edit it. I need to change its quantity or some parameters. If I delete it now and add it again, it will be very troublesome, right? At this time, we can double-click it. As long as we add these things in our group, we can double-click it. After double-clicking, we insert our left hand into it. There is an editing component on the left. We can use our editing component to modify its quantity and modify it. He has something else, right? If I don't want to lock it, I'll turn it off, right? That means we don't need to delete the editing component and add it again. There are some minor problems. You can double-click the component we added and click Edit Component. The interface is actually the same as the one we added. Then we can modify it. No matter whether it is a door, a 9 grid, or an arc plate, you can modify it by double-clicking and clicking Edit Component.